A tiny community with a big problem, an alarming rate of diabetes.
Bottom line, we've got to lose weight.
The Ouzinkie Health Clinic didn't have much money, but lots of good ideas to encourage more exercise, including chores for elders.
You could see they were very proud.
Ahead on Frontiers,
It just makes me happy.
Ouzinkie's recipe for success.
Sponsorship for Frontiers with Rhonda McBride is provided by your local Alaska Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers. With challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief the best is yet to come. Bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to our program, in which we tackle a personal frontiers for many of us, the need to keep our weight down, get more exercise, and eat healthier foods. So important in diabetes prevention, but definitely easier said than done. But Ouzinkie, a small community across the water from Kodiak on Spruce Island, has found a way to make a difference. Ouzinkie, a place where you can live close to nature. A peaceful fishing village, home to about 150 people, where kids are free to be kids.
I'm making a river.
And angels in the sand. But there's trouble in paradise. Ouzinkie is a tiny community with a big problem. About 20% of the people here have diabetes or pre-diabetes, a rate that has grown every year, especially in kids.
All right, under your tongue and bite down a little bit. Good.
Jenny Miller, who works as a health aide, tracks the numbers, and by her count, more than half of the people in Ouzinkie are obese.
Bottom line, we've got to lose weight.
Hard to do in a community with no grocery store. Most here take an air taxi to Kodiak to buy groceries, a 10-minute trip. But because of the cost, people tend to bring back processed foods, which makes it harder to lose weight. Combined with other risk factors, the average age of a heart attack in Ouzinkie is 50.
The average in the United States is about 65. So we have seen early death.
So the staff here at the clinic launched the Alutiiq Challenge.
This youngster picked berries for an hour for his grandma. They also went trout fishing.
Kids were awarded tickets for physical activity. So every swim in the gravel pit became more than a chance to have fun, but also to earn prizes.
You go this way to see the ocean quicker.
Oh, yeah. Robbie Buskoski took a lot of hikes because he loves the woods.
Animals could eat them like bears, deer, moose, elk. These berries are poisonous for humans, so be careful about those.
Also poisonous, our modern way of life. Before this summer, Robbie, who is 9, and other kids his age spent a lot of time indoors glued to video games.
That one right there looks like a seagull.
Now they entertain each other with stories.
You know, one time I got my hand stuck in a peanut butter jar.
Chores for elders count towards tickets. Damian Bennett Melendez says he often helps his uppa, the word for grandpa, in Alutiiq. Every summer he chops cottonwood for his smokehouse and says it's great to see more kids help out their elders.
They've been helping and doing things that they normally wouldn't do, and it's just a great way for the community to help each other.
You better make it the right size.
Damian's job right now? To make a new rack to hang more salmon in the smokehouse.
Take it off an inch or more.
There's always something new to learn from his uppa John.
That gonna do it?
When John Squartzoff was a kid, they were expected to do chores without question and without any rewards.
Everybody helped everybody.
And to see this practice return to Ouzinkie?
It just makes me happy.
Sometimes I see red salmon, deer, fox.
And kids like Robbie Buskoski are happy too.
It's been fun picking berries for elders and helping them do stuff.
Of all the kids, Robbie has made some of the biggest changes and made them with a happy heart.
It's been really fun going all around Ouzinkie hiking.
Hey, let's go in that old treehouse over there.
Robbie is one of those kids who is hungry for knowledge about how to live off the land. He did lots of chores this summer for Martin Swartzoff, an elder who has since become his mentor. Coming up, the final outcome of the Alutiiq Challenge. There were no losers here, only big winners. Also ahead, we'll hear from 2 leaders in the wellness movement and get their ideas on how to turn the tide on diabetes.
Would you be into doing a hot stone massage?
A hot what? At least the car is quiet.
Snowboarding is better than skiing.
I completely disagree. The One for Everyone sales event is going on now, and we have one for you.
Right now, lease a new 2017 Highlander for $349 a month during the One for Everyone sales event. Plus, every new Highlander comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan. Toyota, let's go places.
Since 2007, Shoot for the Cure Alaska has raised more than $1 million to fund research, raise awareness, and support cystic fibrosis patients in Alaska. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disorder that attacks children, causing damage to the respiratory system and chronic digestive problems. It used to be a fatal disease, but thanks to better research and treatment, patients are living longer. Many Alaskans fight CF every day. Because of generous donors like you, Shoot for the Cure Alaska is there when CF families need help. Sign up for our Shoot for the Cure Sporting Clays event at the Birchwood Range on May 12th. Be a Shoot for the Cure corporate sponsor. Attend our banquet on May 11th or just donate an auction item. You can even share your PFD by choosing Shoot for the Cure when you pick, click, give. Help us make CF stand for Cure Found. Every dollar makes a difference to a CF patient here in Alaska. Learn more and donate at alaskacfshoot.org.
You don't have to live in a big city to be a foster parent. You don't have to have a big house, a fancy car, or lots of money. What you need is a home. What you need is a heart that can open to a child who needs you. Won't you become a foster parent today? A child is waiting. Call 1-800-478-7307.
The Ouzinkie Health Clinic's Alutiiq Challenge lasted for about 10 weeks. As far as wellness programs go, it didn't cost all that much thanks to volunteers and about $3,000 in donations from local organizations for the prizes. And once it all came together, it seemed to bring out the best in everyone. Even on a blustery day, the love of fishing still runs deep in Ouzinkie, part of a traditional lifestyle that offers protection against diseases like diabetes.
Just go across the top of that bone there.
Many kids learned to cut fish this summer.
Keep going straight.
As part of the health clinic's Alutiiq Challenge.
I don't know.
You're doing good.
This fish is about the healthiest food you can eat.
Keep going down.
Gary Buskowski knows well how a bad diet and not enough exercise can be deadly.
My side of the family is really high-risk heart problems. We're diabetics. Actually, there was my mother. I got like about 4 or 5 brothers that have it.
Oh my God.
And a couple of sisters. That's why Buskowski is glad to see kids embrace their culture and the hard work.
They want to do more. They want to try help more, you know, so, and it's kind of fun watching them.
You could see they were very proud. Picking berries and delivering them to the elders. Made me get teary-eyed.
To pick berries and share them, such an important part of the Alutiiq culture. Some question whether prizes were necessary, but they did motivate kids to get a taste of what it feels like to do the right thing.
I wanted them to experience the joy of bringing a fish to an elder. That's a really awesome feeling.
So you fold it and you put it in the jar.
In many Native cultures, sharing food is an important rite of passage.
I'm really hoping that sense of joy of giving something to an elder is something that they're going to remember and take with them. It's healed some of the kids this summer. It's brought out a fruit that we'd never expected.
I don't use much salt because my people have high blood pressure.
Today, these girls are here to learn how to make pirog, a Russian fish pie layered like lasagna.
Spread it out thinly.
Lily Pestrikoff is a stickler.
Make sure you cover the whole bottom.
Lily worries about today's kids. Were the kids more active than they are today, physically active?
They were. They didn't have this phone to keep their face in.
But this fall, Lily enjoyed many buckets of berries from these girls.
That's good, Senna. You did a good job. Now you can salt it and pepper it. Okay.
The pirog will be served at a community gathering to celebrate the Alutiiq Challenge and announce the big winners. But Sienna Johnson feels she's already a champ.
Makes me feel like I actually did something today, actually did something that I can be proud of.
I'm so proud of Matthew Campbell Jr.
It was a lot like Christmas. Not a kid came away empty-handed.
Oh, wow.
The grand prize went to Robbie Buskoski, applauded by an appreciative audience.
I'm so proud of you! He actually did do dishes for me.
Robbie picked a whole bunch of berries.
He brought us some fish.
Pirog, by the way, went pretty fast, but everyone had their fill of food and enthusiasm. It seems unstoppable.
It's like the whole village is caught on fire with this joy, and we can't contain it.
The sun may set on the Alutiiq Challenge, but life in Ouzinkie will never be the same again. The next step for this island community, more fresh food. Well, Ouzinkie just got some new residents, 30 chickens to eventually provide fresh eggs. As for the fresh vegetables, these high tunnel greenhouses, or hoop houses as they call them in Ouzinkie, went up recently when we last visited. The kids collected kelp this summer to prime the ground, which takes time because the soil is volcanic. And although they no longer get the tickets, the kids recently built a community smokehouse. Well, now for the big picture, we are joined by Judith Thompson, the Diabetes Director for the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, and Dr. Gary Ferguson. He's of Alutiiq and Unangan heritage and a big proponent of using culture to heal. So I guess I want to ask the two of you, what do you think about what Ouzinkie did?
I love what Ouzinkie did. They involved the whole community, kind of changing the environment, having the youth and the elders work together, gathering foods close to nature, being out there in the woods, being physically active. Those are all things we know that people need to do to be well.
Gary, what's your take on what happened here?
Well, it's so beautiful to see the food, the blueberries, the salmon. You know, these are healing foods, and food truly is medicine, and community and connecting with your elders and your culture is also very healing.
You know, and some communities have less connection with their culture just because of their historical circumstances. So, you know, how does this fit into the picture?
Well, we've found that cultural practices really promote healing and resilience in our population, and you know, especially as it relates to our cultural foods, which are protective for dis-ease. And when we connect with our culture and our community, it really promotes healing. And you know, our younger generations, especially growing up with that, sets you on the road for success.
So Judith, let's talk a little bit about the overview, the statistics here. You know, how does the Alaska Native population compare overall?
Sure. Diabetes was once rare among Alaska Native people. Our prevalence for diabetes in Alaska Native people right now is about 5% for age adjustment. In 1990, there were about 850 Alaska Native people who had diabetes. In 2014, the latest data we have is a little bit over 5,000 Alaska Native people have diabetes. That's an increase of about 170% during that time. So although our age-adjusted prevalence is about 5%, slightly lower than the U.S. national average, our rate of increase is very high.
And so why is it growing so fast?
Well, we think there are a lot of reasons that the rate of diabetes is growing quickly. from many causes. Some of the causes we have the most information on is a decrease in physical activity. So the more sedentary someone's lifestyle is, the more likely it is that they would develop diabetes. If we carry extra weight, Alaska Natives, like the U.S. general population, are having increases in their body weight. When we carry extra body weight, those can cause an increased risk for diabetes.
Well, Gary, when you look at the Native communities around our state, compared to their elders, people probably just have a lot less activity than they used to.
Yeah, well, and we've become with modern conveniences. We take four-wheelers to ride one block. We need to be more physically active, and when we use cultural practices, we dance, we connect with our elders, we go out and hunt and fish. I mean, those activities are very healing, and it's one of those where this is the future for our younger generations that will promote healing.
So what are we looking at here? This was a recent activity at the Native Medical Center campus.
So this is actually at the museum, and this is Drew Michael and Elizabeth Ellis and the aggravated organisms, which was a mask burning ceremony.
So these represent disease.
Right, they do. And so it was about transmuting these diseases to resilience and promoting hope for our people.
So why is something like this perhaps more helpful in giving people the right mindset to dealing with something like diabetes?
Well, what it does is it helps us understand that we have the power to promote health in our population, and that when we think of disease, there's a lot of things that we can do to promote well-being and to ideally prevent that disease.
Well, one of the things in the Alaska Native community is there has been a lot of historical trauma, a lot of disruption. So how does that affect something like diabetes?
Well, stress raises your blood sugar. So when we deal with stress and we deal with it in healthy ways, it actually helps us prevent diabetes as well as helps us manage diabetes if we have prediabetes or diabetes.
So how do Alaska Natives compare to, say, Indigenous peoples in the lower 48?
So Alaska Natives, as I mentioned, have an age-adjusted prevalence of about 5%. When the Indian Health Service reports on diabetes in American Indians and Alaska Natives, that rate is closer to 16%. So in Alaska, I'm very hopeful that we'll work toward continuing preventing and delaying diabetes.
So you can kind of get out in front of it. You know, a lot of times, we tend to think of the pharmacy, the doctor as the solution and not these cultural solutions. I mean, is that something overall that we should be looking at, not just in Native communities, but just throughout the general population, do you think?
When we think of healthy communities and communities that are accessible for us to get out and be physically active and to connect with each other, that promotes healing. And our goal is to have healthy communities that promote healthy people.
So do you feel like you're pioneering some ideas here?
Well, I think it's age-old. I think our elders and our ancestors have showed us great ways to promote well-being. And when we think of disease prevention, there's a lot of wisdom in these age-old practices of eating good food, real food, and local food.
Now this is a domestic violence awareness march. What does something like this have to do with diabetes?
Well, I think one of the biggest things it does is it helps us understand that we can reclaim well-being in our community, and we need to stand up for promoting healthy families, promote areas where kids can grow up in areas that they can be healthy and vital and physically active and safe.
In other words, make a better environment for our kids. So when we look at regional differences in many of the rural communities, there's a widespread of diabetes rates. Why is that?
Well, our rates do vary around the state by region. The southeast region of Alaska has the highest prevalence of diabetes at around 9%, and our lowest rates of diabetes are in the northwest region of the state, closer to about 3%. We don't know, we can't really say there's a causation for why we have these differences. There are theories that people talk about for why we have these differences. One theory is that the southeast area of Alaska had contact with other cultures sooner, and they may have brought in convenience foods and really changed the diet or introduced other things into the diet that weren't as traditional, whereas the northwest area of the state had contact with outside influences much later. That's one theory, because we do know that increased carbohydrate intake, decrease in physical activity, those things can lead to disease.
So you hear village elders tell you that they noticed health decline when stores arrived in their community.
You can almost trace the colonization in Alaska and the highest rates of diabetes. And there's over 100 years difference in colonization for other parts of the state, and they have lower rates now. And so, I think the key is eating less processed foods and getting outside. Having less convenience lifestyles.
Well, as we saw, though, in Ouzinkie, though, that some of the processed foods were a factor of cost, because these days you can't entirely subsist on the store outside your door, so to speak, and you coined that phrase. But so you think that these things like trying to grow your own food, that those things might help for communities?
We do. We definitely advocate for hunting, fishing, gathering, growing foods, eating foods as close to nature as you can. We know not everyone has access, but we do encourage eating foods as close to nature. Other things that we know prevent or delay the development of diabetes or are helpful in treatment if people already have diabetes is getting 150 minutes of physical activity a week, so going for a walk down the block instead of starting the ATV, or if people do Fitbits or fitness trackers, we're shooting for 10,000 steps most days. But we know a small amount of weight loss. So in BIG, the diabetes prevention program studies, and some of those studies were done in Alaska with a special diabetes program for Indians funding, and local programs that were important to those communities have shown that decreasing the body weight by about 5 to 7% and getting that 150 minutes of physical activity a week can delay or prevent the development of diabetes.
So what kinds of things do you think that communities should be doing at a grassroots level beyond, kind of what we've seen in the Ouzinkie model? What kind of things have you gone out and encouraged people to do?
Well, I think what Ouzinkie is doing and what other communities are doing is they're owning their well-being. And I think that starts there. It has to own, the community has to own their process, and elders need to get involved, and the community needs to understand that our younger generation needs to be engaged and encouraged. And that's really a powerful thing that's happening throughout the state. And I'm really excited to see the example that Ouzinkie is giving us, as well as other communities, that show that when you take ownership and you promote well-being, you see some really great rewards, both immediate in the lives of these kids, as well as, I think, long-term. We'll see long-term results in health.
You think that the solutions reside more in the heart and the mind necessarily than prescriptions?
Well, I would say that that's where prevention lies, is if we're going to really have healthier lives, we need to first own it ourselves and walk our talk. And we need to promote well-being by way of living healthier lives that we deal with stress and we talk about the issues that are affecting us so that we deal with them in ways that are healthy.
The prognosis, though, if these interventions don't work, looks pretty serious.
It does. I always like to give a message of hope, though. Occasionally people will use scare tactics in diabetes, but I always like to deliver the message that well-controlled diabetes comes with almost no complications. There are complications associated with the diabetes, but that's often when it is uncontrolled. And there are lots of reasons that get in the way of people taking care of their diabetes. But I think we're very fortunate, both Gary and I, to work at a facility that offers access to traditional healers, to behavioral health counselors, and also all that Western medicine has to offer.
So sort of the best of both worlds, you think, Gary?
Exactly. It's one of those where we have to honor our indigenous healing techniques that have been there for thousands of years, and I think that is incredibly healing, as well as the best of modern medicine and Western-based approaches.
Well, I want to thank both of you for joining us and giving us sort of a different perspective on a disease like diabetes. Well, still to come, something to smile about. Now, a new dental clinic in Dillingham has upped the ante in the war against tooth decay.
I just want cremation. No hidden costs, no add-ons.
Cremation is much more affordable.
Dignified, ecological. I just want something basic. The simpler, the better. Cremation sure makes a lot of sense. The Cremation Society of Alaska is now serving families in Anchorage and in the Valley, and we are always on the web at alaskacremation.com. Call us today at 277-2777 or in the Valley 373-8627.
Somewhere in Alaska's wild, Allie Zirkle is leading the way toward ending domestic violence affecting Alaska's kids.
These kids are heroes. They're trying to improve themselves so they can go back and improve their communities.
Today, Allie and Lead On are helping to make that possible. Help end domestic violence, spread respect, build friendships, and strengthen communities. Visit andvsa.org.
Everyone can make a difference.
Hey, Kids Day in Anchorage's Promise Partner event is Saturday, April 15th from 10 to 4. Grab your parents and go to the Denina Center for a day of family fun. And it's free. There's stuff for kids of all ages. Wild About Reading with free books, a street fair with bouncy house, and even the Easter Bunny. Kids Day features over 80 youth organizations. And this year, a lucky family in need will receive a car. Visit anchoragespromise.org for more information. Kids Day in Teen City. I'll see you there. Brought to you by these sponsors.
What is health? It's more than a number on the scale. It's in the water we drink and the air we breathe. It's reflected in our jobs, our climate, and our community. Our health is holistic. Our health care should be the same. At ANTHC, we're providing clean water and sanitation around the state. We're working in partnership to make homes safer, healthcare treatment smarter, and fulfill our vision that Alaska Native people are the healthiest people in the world.
With one of the highest rates of tooth decay in the nation, a healthy smile in rural Alaska is often hard to find. That's why there's a lot of excitement about a new dental clinic in Dillingham. Yupik dancers were on hand to celebrate. Children will be the top priority for this new state-of-the-art facility, which has 12 new dental chairs and room for more dentists and other caregivers, as well as classroom space. The Bristol Bay Area Health Corporation says this new clinic will expand care to help about 30 communities in the region.
Everywhere we go, we fly. And we have to bring a lot of equipment with us, but we believe with more people we can hit more villages more often and take care of more of the dental problems that are.
A Russian Orthodox priest led a procession around the clinic to offer prayers and a blessing. Well, it's an exciting time in Alaska as the native healthcare system pioneers some new services and brings innovation to our whole state. We want to thank you for being part of this week's conversation. We'll see you next week.